Atlantic article, which I thought was really a sad article for any magazine to have published. And while I wasn't in the meeting that's described there, I've worked for this president for 2.5 years, first as a hostage envoy and for the last year as National Security Advisor. In both those jobs, I've had to meet extensively with the president on military issues, whether it's a hostage rescue mission or how we're going to deploy our troops around the world. Look, in my current job, I have the sad duty of having to call him sometimes in the middle of the night if we lose a soldier, sailor, airman, or Marine in combat, which fortunately hasn't happened since February, or in a training accident. We've had some of those recently. And I can tell you how hard those calls are for me to make, but also for the president to receive. I've spent a bunch of time with the president on numerous trips to Dover, and seeing how he's been with the families of our fallen heroes for those dignified transfers. And I can tell you that's the toughest job any president has, is to go up to Dover and bring our fallen heroes home and mourn with their families and grieve with their families and comfort their families. And I think if you talk to any of them who had been there for the transfers when the president's been there, I've seen him send me to Dover. When he couldn't go because of scheduling issues or him being overseas, and asking me to represent him there. I've been with him at Walter Reed, where we've seen our wounded heroes, and the interaction between the president and our wounded heroes at Walter Reed is something that's pretty incredible to see. I can tell you when we discuss options, and sometimes we have to discuss military options for some of the foreign policy and national security issues that we face, the president will ask me, is there a way that we can do this without sending U.S. soldiers or sailors or Marines or airmen into harm's way? If we have to send them into harm's way, and it's going to be a tough situation, like the Baghdadi raid, for example, how do we make sure we protect them to the maximum extent available? And if that means putting 3 or 4 levels of air power over them, it means doing that. And the president is unstinting in what he's willing to provide to our troops. He's funded the military so that we can give them every tool necessary to accomplish our missions and come home safely. So I think if you talk to any of us who work at the NSC, any of us who've worn the uniform before, whether it's Keith Kellogg or Matt Pottinger or myself or Mark Milley over at the Pentagon, or those that spend a lot of time with the president, especially when military matters are discussed, when our current military personnel, our troops are discussed, our veterans are discussed, you're not going to find anybody who's more sympathetic to their situation than the President of the United States. So I don't believe a word of what was in the Atlantic article, because I've had 2.5 years of working side by side with the President. I've never seen anything like that, and I thought it was pretty disappointing that some magazine would write that.
Ambassador O'Brien, on the topic of service members, first, thanks to all 3 of you for hosting this. Is the U.S. going to respond to Russia